So we're going to spend a few minutes talking about meditation and how it's being looked at now from a standpoint of psychology and neuroscience. And we'll also take a somewhat of a look at the historical aspects of it from a spiritual perspective. But the topics that we're going to talk about now are mantras, mandalas, and mindfulness type meditation. Um, so meditation, the best way to think about it is mental exercise. It's a way to keep your mind sharp. Um, it's true that it's traditionally been associated with spiritual practices, but a lot of health practices were handed down through spiritual leaders because a lot of times, oftentimes, I think I said this before, the spiritual leaders were the ones that were literate a lot of times. So um, they handed down all types of information about nutrition and exercise and meditation or prayer as well. So all the benefits that we talk about meditation can also be applied to prayer, certain types of prayer, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So some of the uh, benefits: mastering attention. It's great. Athletes like to use meditation. Tai Chi. Tiger Woods practices meditation. Um, uh, Promoting health, obviously, great for stress management, reducing pain, helps with creativity. Again, with, controlling negative emotions and really fostering positive emotions. So, um, traditionally, there's been the threefold goal: the martial aspect, the medical aspect, and then the spiritual aspect. We're going to focus mostly on the medical aspect for this course, but the martial aspect is there as well. Martial arts, but it literally means enhancement of performance. So the martial aspect can be applied to anything like academics or dancing, things like that. And a lot of people report a lot of benefits from meditation from artistic perspectives. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And then, of course, medical. That's what we're mostly concerned about here. Just a ton of research on the medical aspects of meditation, and we'll talk about those in a little bit more detail. And then what we don't cover too much here, which you're more than welcome to explore on your own, is the spiritual aspects of meditation. We're not going to talk about all five categories. We'll talk about the first two, really. Concentration meditation. That's really where you start off, trying to get a hold of your consciousness or your control your ability to concentrate a little bit more. And then we'll move into mindfulness. And then again, you're welcome to explore these other forms of meditation as well. Um, Again, feel free to pause this and read through this. I'm not going to read through this line by line, but this is the most common use for meditation. Most common motivation is to um, start to develop your concentration abilities. Very important in children. There's a lot of evidence that meditation over the long term is actually much more beneficial for problems like ADHD, especially when you combine it with exercise and a proper diet. So, uh, certainly there's some very easy techniques that you can use. They talk about developing concentrative power. Um, and then eventually you move into some of the additional health benefits about positive emotions. Um, they do talk about psychic abilities and some of the spiritual aspects. Again, we're not going to get too much into that. You're welcome to explore that a little bit more. We'll talk about it a little bit more when we talk about spiritual aspects of health and shamanism. Um, Mantras, so pretty common meditation form. It can be a prayer or just a couple words or one word, a phrase that has some kind of personal meaning, and you just kind of repeat it over and over again. And again, I grew up Catholic. I'm not really practicing Catholic, but this is pretty common in Catholic traditions to just repeat a short phrase over and over and over again. A lot of the Buddhist or Catholic priests and the nuns will use it's basically meditation type prayer, and it kind of alludes to an altered state of consciousness that's supposed to be very pleasant to be in. So that Serenity now, I think that was from Seinfeld. That was kind of a funny episode of Seinfeld, but essentially anything I would say that's positive and that has personal meaning. Just Google mantras, and you might find something that kind of suits your feelings and your needs. This is kind of a cool, and again, I would ask you to check this out. 9-part breath. Read through this and try this on your own. This is a great way to start out a meditation. And then I'm also going to post some Dr. Weil uh, breathing techniques as well. The 478 is a great breathing technique. I'll post that next week in the next course module. But try this out, and it's a great way to kind of start off with your meditation. And then this is kind of a basic way to start. Just kind of shut everything down. No music, no TV. Just try and get a quiet place. If you can, sit upright. It's best not to lay down. And then pick a word or a sound or a mantra. We'll take a look at some mandalas that are pretty cool to play with, to look at. And then just kind of, a passive attitude. They say that this is the most important part. You're going to get distracted, but just kind of go back to whatever it is that you're focusing on for that 5 or 10 minutes. A good way to start is a candle meditation. You just light a candle and stare at it. Try not to blink, and eventually your eyes will start to tear. And then when your eyes start to teal, you close your eyes and you imagine that candle, that light in your mind's eye, right above in between your two eyes. That's another form of meditation. You just keep doing breathing techniques while you do there. Again, they recommend that you sit comfortably with your spine straight. Don't lay down, especially when you're starting out, because you'll fall asleep. So if you sit in a chair, keep both feet on the floor, flat on the floor. And try and do it for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Again, this is just another thing. I'll post a video about diaphragmatic breathing because that's pretty important as well. And then mindfulness meditation. This is just kind of a mindset that you seem to enter into after you meditate for a little bit, after you're meditating for a little while. And I'll post again some additional information, some articles about mindfulness. Or I'm sure you can just Google it on your own. And it's just about living in the moment, turning almost anything into a meditation, whether it's a walk in the park, or a bike ride, or I've had students do all kinds of really kind of interesting things. Music, certainly playing music, if you are play guitar or piano, anything that involves complex finger manipulation, even playing the drums can be turned into a meditation. Almost really anything. As long as it's overall positive. I guess there's some things that could be negative about it, but again, feel free to read through this. I'm not going to read through this. You can pause this and kind of read through this. It's kind of an interesting practice, and there's been tons of books written about mindfulness. And then mandalas. These are pretty cool. I have a coloring book of mandalas, and I'll post a link to them. You can find it. It's a very useful tool for meditation. Carl Jung, the psychologist, studied these pretty extensively, found that they're very beneficial for therapeutic reasons. It triggers the relaxation response. Jung considered them to be the most important symbol in the world. So anytime you've been in a church, you've probably seen mandala, or I'm sure you've seen mandalas. You can talk a little bit more about. I'm going to talk more about Carl Jung towards the end of the semester. So that's a picture of a mandala. And the word mandala is Sanskrit for circle, so they're always in a circle form, and they just have these kind of cool patterns. And I forget what the symbol of 4 is, but there's the quaternity that Carl Jung talks about. I'll look more into it because I can't remember it off the top of my head right now. But you keep seeing these. So Native Americans use them. You've seen them in the forms of dream catchers. You've probably seen those. Those are Native American mandalas. Of course, throughout Eastern theology, Buddhist monks will create mandalas out of sand, colored sand, and I should show some pictures there. Mandalas are just found naturally in nature. A woman's breasts actually are considered to be mandalas. The atom is a mandala, the basic building block of the universe. And then the chakras, energy points within the body. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about chakras when we talk about spiritual aspects of health. But they're essentially like energy organs, I guess you could say. And they're all mandalas. They're all different in forms of mandalas. And again, I forget. I'll have to look into the quaternity more. This is just a brief introduction into the chakras. You probably can't even read this very much, but I'll post some additional information about this. We'll talk a lot more about this. And then there's one more quick presentation. I apologize for um, skipping out or changing presentations mid-view, but these are some of the meditation ideas that the students have done in the past. So your assignment for this week is to find a meditation assignment, or to find a meditation type and experiment with it, or at least write about it. And this is just some of the information that previous students have written about. It should help you a little bit. So this guy is I love this guy. This guy is awesome. Andy Newberg. He's down at the University of Pennsylvania. This guy's a neuroscientist. He's been studying the effects of meditation and prayer on the brain. And he's been doing this for a couple decades. And he has all kinds of people, Buddhist monks, Catholic priests, Catholic nuns, all kinds of like Sufi practitioners, like really cool things going on. And he hooks them up to the neuroscans and does neuroscans on them while they're in these deep meditation or meditative states or deep religious states. And really, really fascinating work on prevention for Alzheimer's and dementia, things like that, because it has a very positive effect on the brain. It strengthens the brain when you get deep into these deep states. So really cool stuff. There's a lot of information I have posted in the CAM files about some of his work. And in fact, one of my students last semester actually knows him. He lives in the area, somewhere in the area. So he talks about selective attention and the ability to choose from which one seems most relevant to your life. And again, that's kind of where we're choosing positive emotions over negative ones, right? We're recognizing the negative emotions or the negative thought patterns for what they are, and we're choosing to uh, put our attention on the positive aspects of life. And meditation can help us do that. It helps us avoid rumination. Again, we talked about rumination already. I'm not going to go through this again. So creative imagery, this is a pretty cool technique. Again, feel free to pause this and read through this. But it's basically, a kind of guided meditation, guided imagery. And you can use it for all kinds of really cool things. I like the image I like to use. This is kind of silly. If anybody's ever seen the movie Happy Gilmore, when he goes to his happy place, that's creative imagery, essentially. There's a lot of information about Zen out there. Zen meditation comes from Japan, I think, primarily. And feel free to read through, again, pause this and read through this as well. A lot of evidence that Zen meditation can help with things like ADD or OCD, anxiety issues. A lot of really cool research has been going on with Zen. And this guy, James Austin, who's a neuroscientist, and he's also a Zen practitioner, and he wrote some really cool books about how the Zen meditation affects neuroscience. So, 20 minutes a day for once or twice a day, that's usually what they recommend. Andy Newberg says 12 minutes a day. You can really get a lot of benefit from this kind of stuff. Mindfulness meditation, again, just from, again, feel free to pause this and kind of read through these, just some experiences that some of the students had with mindfulness meditation and some of the potential treatments that we could use this for. A little bit more about mindfulness. Sanatama, this was a practice that was studied by Andy Newberg, and then one of the students who was into yoga knew about this meditation, and she practiced this. And it's read through this. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool practice, and Andy Newberg found that it really stimulates brain activity, helps the brain grow in a very positive way. So it's kind of cool stuff that these ancient techniques that are being studied by neuroscientists now. It's kind of cool. Heart rhythm meditation, again, feel free to read through this, but it's I guess this is almost like a meditation on the heart chakra, and it can have a pretty positive effect. They're using meditation in prisons, believe it or not. They're using yoga in prisons. It's not real popular, but in certain parts of the world it is, or certain parts of the country it is. It's kind of cool. Mandala painting, again, if you can find a mandala coloring book, or paint a mandala on your own if you have an artistic inclination, feel free to do that. And maybe put on some classical music or meditative music while you're doing it, and spend about 20 minutes painting a mandala. And take a picture of it and post it, and that will count as part of. If you choose to do this as part of your assignment, please take a picture of it and post it. I just want to see you check out what it looks like. So that's if you like watercolors or whatever you feel like doing, that's fine. Um, Tai Chi, I practice Qigong, not as much as I should, but I do practice it. And Tai Chi is very similar to Qigong. It's meditation and movement. Um, some people, including me, have a hard time of just sitting down and meditating. I kind of like to move. I just like to be active. So I prefer to do most times I prefer to do meditation while I'm moving, but to each his own. However you feel like doing it. Art of Happiness. I'll post some additional information about the Art of Happiness, but feel free to read through this. It's about focusing on being happy. Spiritual meditations. Again, I've had students look into Wicca in the past. If that's something that might be interesting for you, you can write about that for your final paper. It's kind of interesting. It's feminine spirituality. Um, I know a lot of the critics will refer to it as witchcraft, but it's not really witchcraft. It's a different form of spiritual practice. That's all. So meditation for however you want to apply it. If you choose to, with any appropriate theology, that's whatever you want to do is fine. If you choose to look into that, but I'm certainly not going to focus or force anybody to do that. Andy Newberg's findings: 12 minutes of meditation a day can significantly enhance cognitive functioning, which includes attention, memory, problem solving, producing and understanding language, and decision making. So 12 minutes a day. And he studied all these meditative and religious techniques from all these different religions, and he basically synthesized it and put it into a secular version of the meditation. So secular meaning it's has nothing to do with religion, non-religious. So it's a secular version of these ancient meditative techniques, and I'll post some information about it, and you can use these techniques, and it's basically to help improve memory, help improve. They have been using this for people that have strokes or other brain issues, and they help those people develop their language and things like that and improve their memory. But it can be used for anybody to improve. I know I certainly need help improving my memory. So these techniques have been very successful when they've been implemented into schools, helping students relax. Anxiety in schools is a very big problem. We'll talk about that in a little bit more detail in another slide or in another presentation. Music, if you like to play music, playing a guitar, a harp, a piano, anything with complex finger manipulations is considered to be a meditation. So I play the guitar. I'm not great at it, but I play a little bit, and it's very relaxing, and I do use it as a meditation. If you sing, that improves cognitive performance, believe it or not, singing a mantra. That's why those old Gregorian chants, that's actually what they're doing is kind of relaxing and improving their brain, essentially. And then again, meditation without spirituality. If you're not into the whole spiritual aspect of it, that's fine. You don't have to do anything about it. Just use the secular version of it, and it's a mental exercise. That's the way that you need to think about it. 12 minutes a day, every day, for about 3 weeks, you'll notice huge benefits. So. All right, so that's all I had. Hopefully this wasn't too long, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully this will help with your assignment for this week. All right, take care.